Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back. Welcome back. Man, y'all. I miss y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I know I wanted to do the whole daily thing, and it's just been a minute before, since I've been able to really just hop on every day and just talk my shit because there's so much shit going on. But I gotta be honest with y'all. I've been doing a lot more hands-on social activism, helping to bring my actual community together, along with the organizers of the local protests that have been going on in my cities. We've been trying to get things coordinated, centralized community page on Facebook, and just really trying to get all the information out about the upcoming events. We have a protest coming up this Saturday, hosted by the NAACP branch of Houston County that will take place on, like I said, Saturday at 5 o'clock. We'll be meeting at a certain location and we'll be walking to City Hall. If you would like to join us and you're in the area, please come show love or hop onto the Warner Robins Matters Facebook page and shoot us a message and we'll see what we can do. And we also have our Juneteenth event, which is going to be too live, too lit. You already know. Can't wait to show up and show out and celebrate. So we got a couple things going on. So that's why y'all haven't really been seeing me too much. But y'all already know I can't miss a fireside chat. And I got some shit that I really, really, really want to talk about today. So without further ado, welcome to the 12th fireside chat. If you are just now joining the program, I am your host, Jizzle the Jokester, and let's get into it. So I've been talking recently, I guess past couple months, just recent situations and scenarios have arise, come up, whatever. And I've kind of pointed them out each time they've come up, and they highlight a certain level of what I would call political pandering, especially on the part of the president. So we understand that there's probably three different main types of Trump supporters. I would say law enforcement, I would say the Blue Lives Matter individuals, and then anybody else who falls in the evangelical right. So he's been since 2016, since he won the election, been on a consistent, re-election rally. And he's always finding new ways to signal to his base, hey, I'm looking out for you. So we talked about how the Catholic churches and the Protestant churches were somehow able to slide in to the first batch of the PPP money. How he turned them into essential businesses, even though it was way too early, and even though most religious leaders were like, "I'm not gonna open my church." Then the photo op situation where he literally had to clear the streets, and that's me putting it politely. He tear gassed protesters to get out of his way, so he could take a picture with the Bible that he's never read in front of a church he's probably never attended. And then the most recent one is when he decided that he wasn't going to allow embassies, outside of the United States, to wave the pride flag during Pride Month. And a lot of people be like, that doesn't really seem like anything. But what it actually does is it infuses patriotism and the United States with embassies. And then it also infuses Christianity with their dislike for pride and lets that base know, look, we're not going to tolerate certain types of symbols. We're not going to be an ally to the LGBT community because we're such a strong ally to you guys. So it's a big symbol that Trump is sending by saying, look, you guys can't put this flag here, even though our citizens, our constituents might be like, all right, I don't have a problem with it. And you have a pretty big LGBT community. It would be great solidarity showing for them, especially because you never ever actually looked out for anybody other than your base. But that's what you can tell, that Trump really has his priorities set on not trying to bring new people in, but just being able to recondition and refocus the people he's already brought in. And it's working, but I do have doubts now about if he's really as close to winning re-election as I previously thought. So I've been talking to a couple people, Brandon. I've been talking to my moms. And I've been telling them that if Biden really wanted to look good, if he wanted to reinvigorate the base, and if he wanted to really, really get some political enthusiasm amongst younger and minority voters, even though he has a lot of the older minority crowd, then he needs to really, really look into the VP. And I started suggesting maybe the mayor of DC or Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms of Atlanta, because I believe that it's the right time in the fact that politically, or in the political spotlight, they're looking like very, very, very strong candidates who can, be in charge and also not be scared to say what needs to be said, and then also have not necessarily a nurturing type of vibe or whatnot, but a feminine authority type of vibe. Because whenever Mayor Bottoms had came out during the whole Atlanta protest that first night, and she had brought Killer Mike and T.I., and she was talking, and like people felt it so much. They understood that she deals with this not just as the mayor, but also as a mother, and that right there is what is going to fuel this drive that people have to get somebody else in office that they feel is going to represent them. So I have to really, really, really look more into her political resume, though, and that is something that I don't want to fully endorse somebody without actually giving you the facts about what they represent, this, that, and the other. So we'll do another take on that. But I do believe that if the reasoning behind who you're choosing right now isn't so much what their political attache is as far as what they've done, more so what they can bring, then it does make sense to go with somebody like Mayor Bottoms over somebody like Klobuchar, over somebody like Kamala Harris, over Gretchen, whatever her name is, the governor of Michigan. So I don't know, it's just something to think about. But I've been saying that if they look into, her, it'd be a great move. And apparently there's an article that came out today saying that they're low-key betting her for a vice presidential nominee. So we'll see. I think that would be really, really fucking dope. But speaking of Georgia and elections and shit like that, oh my God, what in the hell was that? Like, this is getting so bad. Like, you can't even hide this anymore. Like, it's intentional. There is no reason that 16,000 people have to go to one polling precinct, just one place, standing around for hours. There's no reason that a polling place shouldn't have their actual machines open or start up till 12:30. You shouldn't have to extend it to 9 o'clock at polling places. There should be no lines in the way that there are. And the reason that a lot of people are going to listen to this and say, well, I didn't have any lines, is because it seems to be that it was targeted in certain areas where it was a lot harder to get into and out of certain voting places. There was this caretaker. She had a individual who was who lived in a certain part of town, and with their address, they had to go to a different polling place than she had to go to herself. So she went ahead, took care of her job, and took the person. She said she got in there 7 minutes, in and out, ready to take her patient back to the care house. When she got to her polling place, she said it was at least 35 minutes before she could get in there. So she's trying to understand how in the same city, but different polling places, she can have completely different experiences. But the main question that we're asking is, if you saw what happened in Wisconsin, and if you knew that states were canceling their elections and you extended yours, giving yourself ample amount of time to figure out what you're going to do, why in the hell do you think that we should accept this? Why? This is bullshit. There is no reason that the Secretary of State, who has one goddamn job to make sure that the elections in Georgia run properly, is failing at that one damn job until you realize he's just another one of Kemp's cronies. Kemp, you got to go. Like, you have to go. There's no need for you to be here anymore. Like, y'all are purposefully attempting to just push off anything that you want and just act like nobody's noticing. There's two Supreme Court justices that you're going to appoint yourself because they conveniently retired or resigned but are keeping their post till a certain time. So therefore their tenure doesn't have to be vacated because you get to appoint somebody because it won't end before the tenure is over. That is diabolical. It's maniacal. Like it makes no sense that if you're looking to represent yourself as the candidate on the up and up or as somebody who believes in the system of democracy, why are you going so hard at trying to dismantle it? Like why is it that you and your people appear to be anti-democratic? And I'm not talking about Democratic Party. I'm talking about the act of democracy, the act of allowing this process to not judge, but to actually render the people that we allow to run us. I mean, it's so hard for me to really just like to say what I'm trying to say right now. It's like it makes no sense. Like we have a process, but yet we have gerrymandering, we have voter suppression, you know what I'm saying? We have voter ID laws. We have Republicans attempting in so many different ways, closing 750 different polling places in Texas that are predominantly black and brown areas. Like this is an issue. So you have to go vote. You have to. I know a lot of people say it doesn't matter, but if it didn't matter, they wouldn't work so hard to take it away from you. You have got to vote. Man, sorry, I get a little long-winded and stuff like that. So those were a few of the things that I wanted to talk about, but tonight the main thing that I really, really want to talk about is something that seems to be getting a lot of push right now, rightfully so, but the messaging of it is not it's not really up to par. So I want to help that. So I'm sure you have heard this phrase, defund the police. And I'm sure that it might elicit a certain type of thought in your mind. You might go to the, wait, does that mean that we're just abolishing the police and there's no police and criminals can just run just rampant? Or does that mean that we won't have police officers to respond to certain things, but other crimes would just not be crimes anymore? No. No. It doesn't mean that there's going to be this all for free purge styled anarchy. That's not what defund the police means. What it means is that there's a lot of money that goes to police department budgets. And by reallocating those dollars and those funds, not all of them, but a lot of them, a big percentage or portion of it, to other services that can actually render the community a lot more beneficial, such as putting more money into social work, putting more money into mental health services, putting more money into education, putting more money into employment opportunities, allowing the community better access to capital gains for credit loans and for other things like that. So when you start to attack the actual issues, because see, that's the biggest problem that we have right now. And through a lot of my research, I'm starting to understand one key thing. Crime is a social construct. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous. That might sound, completely leftist, radical, Marxist, postmodern, whatever you want to call it. Listen to what I'm saying. Crime is a social construct. It is arbitrarily created to define a certain set of guidelines that the people in authority deem important. It is why living in Georgia, you can get arrested for the possession of marijuana, but if you lived in Washington within the same country, you can go to a store and purchase it legally. It is arbitrarily defined by state borders, arbitrarily defined by legislation, and arbitrarily defined by the people who are in charge who feel that they want to protect whatever they feel that they want to protect. That is not to say that there aren't actual things like rape, like murder, like thievery, theft, stealing, however you want to say it. I don't know where I was going with that one. But yeah, now that doesn't mean that there won't be people that need to respond. There will still be public servants that need to respond to those type of situations. But those situations only. That's what we are saying. That police have been tasked with being responsible for the social order of everything. They respond to mental health calls. They respond to homelessness. They respond to drug use. They respond to all of these issues that they are not prepared for. So when we say defund the police, we're speaking about actually taking the funds that we would put the over bloated budgets, and we are literally allocating them to resources that help the community not commit crime in the first place. Now, you're never going to eradicate crime, but by giving people opportunity, you realize that poverty is really just a lack of opportunity, a lack of education. You realize that drug use is really just a health issue. You realize homelessness is a lack of employment opportunity or mental health issues. And when you start to put more money into the actual resources that can help the community, then you need to spend less money on protecting the community with these type of things. If you are going through a mental health crisis, the worst thing that you would probably want to see is an aggressive individual with their hand on the trigger telling you to calm down. That's not the way de escalation works. There are people who are trained in de escalation. Now, there's other things that we could do as far as going with this defunding the police that would allow us to actually figure out better solutions to what are going to happen to the police when they're done. Like, we are going to have retraining for, police forces are huge. So therefore, we are going to have to reintegrate them into society in certain ways. And that doesn't mean also that we're not going to have cops that respond to violent crimes. But it does mean that police forces are going to have to be reduced. It also means that police qualifications are going to have to rise, meaning you will probably have to have a certain type of degree, whether it be in mental health services, whether it be in criminology or criminal justice, or something of that nature. You're going to have hours and hours and hours of de-escalation training. You're going to have proper training to become this, and it's going to weed out so many other people. So there's a lot of things that defunding the police actually does, but the messaging is so bad. So I've been thinking, all right, like how can we figure out a way to phrase this to where even the police understand the necessity and even they start to speak out and kind of want it to happen. So maybe if we were to say things like no justice, no peace, reorganize the police, or no justice, no peace, community outreach, things like that, where we actually are using different terms to explain what will actually happen. Like, the process isn't abolishing police, even though you might have seen me, call for that. Because in certain instances, I do believe that that is actually necessary and can actually work, but that's a lot more of a nuanced conversation. But if you are looking for examples as if what we're speaking about right now, as far as redistributing the social duties from police officers to a lot more trained individuals, look no further than Camden, New Jersey, who has been able to disband their police force in 2013, I believe. And they completely redid everything. They used certain former police officers that helped with the transition, but they didn't create an actual, like, police force per se. There's still officers that can respond to violent crimes, but for the most part, they put it into community programs and did other things, and they were able to see that violent crimes were able to go down by 42%. But the biggest thing is that police excessive force complaints were down 95%. And that is the biggest issue. Like, when we see these police brutality protests being incited with more police brutality, in turn turning them into riots, then it's a self-defeating purpose. It's like, we're telling you that you're beating us, stop beating us, and you're like, we're beating you, so stop talking and we'll stop beating you. It's a vicious cycle. So we have to come up with solutions. And right now, defunding the police is one of the best solutions that we have, backed by a lot of statistics, a lot of evidence, and a lot of data. So if you've been hearing lately, oh, we need to defund the police, that means that we're going to abolish them, that means the police will no longer be able to help us, this, that, and the other, you're looking at it completely wrong. What we have to do is readjust our stance on what we believe the police are here for, and then we'll start to understand how we can start to alleviate these issues and these problems. I know I could use one. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. There's just so much constantly going on. Like it's so hard to keep up with everything. And then when you start to really like just hone in on this article and this issue and this situation and what this person's doing and what this politician said, it becomes so overwhelming. It gets to a point where like you just want to block it all out and you need something to just distract you. Well, I have a recommendation. I have just got done watching Uncut Gems. Yes, the 2019 smash movie starring Adam Sandler, Lakeith Stanfield, Kevin Garnett, and also with an appearance by my dog, The Weeknd. So the movie centers around the relationship kind of between Sandler, Lakeith, and Kevin Garnett's here and there, and it takes place in 2012, and it's dope because it's using like the 2012 playoffs, the actual footage of Kevin Garnett playing, on the Celtics and stuff like that, and it's using that to create wagers and bets. There's a lot of high stakes gambling going on. Adam Sandler is a janky ass jewelry salesman. He's got a whole bunch of fake ass shit that he be trying to sell, this, that, and the other. But he ends up coming across this video of these folks. I'm not sure exactly which African country they're in. It's not Sierra Leone, but they're actually somewhere in Africa mining gems. And he pays for it, and it comes, and he tries to get it appraised. And there's a whole situation that goes on, and it's like he finally gets to the end, and everything's great, and it's finally gonna work out for him. And y'all gotta watch this to see what happens, because I don't want to tell you. But what I will tell you is I really enjoyed the Weeknd's part because it was dope. Because in 2012, that's when he dropped his first actual, I guess you would say, album. It was the three mixtapes he had dropped prior with a couple extra songs on it. But it's House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence put together as the trilogy. So he was performing one of the songs off of there called The Morning. And I know The Weeknd, The Morning is funny. But anyways, he's performing in this small little intimate club or whatnot because they're playing on the fact that he's not this global sensational icon that he ends up being really where he would have been in 2019. And by that I mean like I don't think I really don't think people realize like how big the Weeknd really is. So he's the number two listened to artist in the world, as far as Spotify metrics go. He's he's gone diamond now, with I believe The Hills, or Starboy, one of the two. But Starboy and Blinding Lights both have over a billion plays. But this dude has 60 million monthly listeners. And like that just blows my mind. Like, can you imagine every month over 60 million people are tuning in and paying to listen to each thing that you put out? That blows my mind. Sheesh. Number one, I think is Justin Bieber. So shouts out to the Biebs. But I truly enjoy and appreciate what The Weeknd does with his music because it's just so different to me. Like his style, his aesthetic, his artistry, it's very to a degree reminiscent of the sounds and the styles and the structure of MJ. Very similar in certain regards, with the voice, the way that he can reach certain levels. I think he's got like three octaves that he reaches and like sits at a certain one. I can't remember exactly which one, but he's really dope at being able to also mimic MJ's voice. The Dirty Diana song that he has on, I think it's Echoes of Silence. Whew. Like you hear it. It's like young MJ in there. Or when you see him on I Can't Feel My Face, like you can tell like this is a almost an MJ rendition. Like, and it's so amazing watching and listening and connecting everything. So yeah, The Weeknd definitely recommend. If you need something to distract you, like I've been saying, to get away from all of this nonsensical bullshit, throw on Trilogy or Kissland. You got After Hours, that the one that just dropped. Then also my favorite one, Beauty Behind the Madness. That album, one of my all-time favorite albums, because it has one of my all-time favorite songs on there. And I promise, I'm sorry, but if you put this song on, them draws coming off. I'm just gonna be honest with you, because that song, Acquainted, goodness grief, y'all, like that shit, whew, it do something to you, boy. So I have a rule, like I don't listen to that song when I'm driving, because I might, swerve into the other lane. And I close my eyes and I get into it. So you feel me? Anyways, so yeah, man, if y'all are looking for something to distract you from all of this nonsense, please go check out Uncut Gems. It's on Netflix, or go check out The Weeknd on all streaming platforms, because that nigga nice. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So I ended with this. We spoke about how fucked up the Georgia election was, and it brings to light that there's a lot of issues when it comes to voting that need to be hammered out right now. But if you, in the midst of everything, decide that you just don't want to vote, I'm sorry, but you're being wrong. Even if you write your own name in, just vote. Just at least participate right now in this process. I know it feels wasted. I know it feels like it doesn't matter, but it does. It does matter, especially on the local level. If you are tired, if you're tired of having warrants served that don't need to be served, then you need to get new magistrate judges. You need new defense attorneys. You need a new mayor. You need to get active, because if you want your community to change and you want the world to change, then you have to make that change. Political apathy will no longer work. I know 2016 was crazy because this dude lost the popular vote, but the fact that even half of the country didn't even vote made it even worse. Like, we have to come out. We have to realize that there is an attempt to take away our vote, which means it is that much more important, and it is that much more necessary to use it, because there are a lot of things going on that could be stopped if we were able to get the right people out. We cannot change this system by doing the things that we've been doing. We have to get radical. We have to revolutionize. But for right now, we have to use the most important tool that we have, and that is voting. So please, please get out there and vote. Register to vote. Help others vote. And you know what? Fuck it. If you see at your polling place that there's lines out there and it's just hard, go grab some stuff. Snacks, water, something like that. Just pull up to the polling place. Be like, yo, I got y'all. Yeah, y'all out here doing this? I got y'all. Y'all, let's make a difference. Let's make a change. Let's make a way. Future generations are watching us right now, and the steps that we take today are the ones that will ensure that their future is what it's supposed to be. And it starts with us. So, I'll see y'all again soon. Y'all already know. One more time, Jizzle the Jokester. I love y'all. And as always, y'all be good and y'all be great.